Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have any audio on this today? Yes, no, maybe? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. This is Marilyn, and it's time for the noon edition of Welcome to My World. This is the 26th of July, which is a Tuesday. And so, how's everybody doing this morning? Looks to me like we got some new bus drivers. These are better bus drivers than what we've had when it's just so slow, there isn't anything happening. But these bus drivers, the NQ bus driver, I think we ought to hire this guy and keep him on permanent. That guy did a great job. Anyway, we've had the indices. They're all trading pretty much together, but NQ definitely was a stronger market this morning, stronger than YM and stronger than the ES, and quite a bit stronger than TF, but they did all move pretty much about the same time. The big thing that I saw in the overnight market was the Japanese yen just roared to life overnight. I mean, it really took off to the upside. And that's kind of, it's unusual, I think, to see it move so strongly up. But anyway, we've got, crude oil did give a nice trade this morning about, I don't know, 8:45, 8. It was fiddling around about 8:30, but it got with the program about between that 8:30 and 9 o'clock timeline. And that's many times, especially in the summer, that's when it kind of jumps to life. And after this, I don't know, it's tested settlement now. Let's see, it's been hanging around settlement. It shows no inclination to break to the north side of settlement. So tomorrow's going to be kind of interesting. The red ice is a little bit below settlement. See if that red ice lowers even more tomorrow. But gold has been in a real tight chop. If you were a chop trader or trying to teach yourself how to trade chop, you might want to look at gold for today, because there were, if you're looking for these 10 tick movements up and 10 down and 15 up and 10 or 8 or something down, it gave you, today would be a good day to mark the chart for those kinds of trades. This morning earlier, the VIX was headed up. It was well into the 13s, and now it's broken below 13. So I'm not sure if it will continue going back down into the 11s. The low of the VIX for the last year has been 1088, and that was really, I think that's the low for the last 3 or 4 years, but definitely this year. And bonds made a wonderful trade this morning. I'll show you bonds. I think if you have an interest in learning bonds, ZB might not be the best place to start. You might want to start with ZN or ZF, I believe, but ZN. But this was right about 9 o'clock, and it just gave you a perfect signal, and this went down and down and down. So these apex signals work incredibly well if you'll take the time to learn to read them. What I didn't like about this was we had no exceeding volume. But on the other hand, look at the volume stair-stepping up. It's going up and up and up and up and up. These are sellers selling and selling and selling. And then earlier, it started, yeah, right about here. This, if you were paying close attention to this, could have given you about 10 ticks also. But paying very close attention. Those of you who are in the room early, I haven't mentioned for a while, we do have, in the summertime it's not quite as active because a lot of people are on vacation and taking the kids to whatever, but the Apex has a breakfast club that's in here, and particularly when it's not vacation time, they're real active in there from, I don't know, 5:30 or 5 or 5:30 or 6 or real early. These are the early birds. And many of those people have a full-time job and they get their trading in before they go to work. So if you're in a time zone where that fits with your schedule, or if you live in a time zone, you might want to check that out because they do a great job of sharing their trades and bouncing ideas off of each other. Then the elite room is open also. A lot of people don't realize it's because everybody kind of after the 12 noon, after about this time of day, everybody tends to take off for the afternoon, or they've made their goals, or they've traded their whatever their program is, they've done that for the day. But in the evening, there is a whole other crowd that comes in here. There are people who come in and trade into the close, but there's a whole other group that comes in this room around, I don't know, 6:37, and they trade the evening session. Most of them are Nadex traders, but some trade futures. Futures are very, very slow at that time, but not a lot of volume. But if you're practicing in your demo and trying to learn how to click the buttons and everything happens so fast during the day, you might want to check that out too, because there's plenty of company in the evenings. So let's see, this afternoon at they say 4:30 to 5:30, but you know how news tends to leak. So these times that they're going to release earnings, be cautious with those, because news has a way of creeping out. Anyway, Apple is announcing their earnings this afternoon. Typically that's at 4. So if you're trading the Nadex, pay very close attention at 4 o'clock to see if you're in a trade. Be sure you carry tight stops right at that time. And then tomorrow morning, and this afternoon, if you're sitting there wondering what happened to why there was so much volatility today in NQ, the housing numbers came out at let's see, what was that, 10 o'clock? Yeah, at 10 o'clock. Keep in mind that when markets change, there is a higher probability of them changing at the top and bottom of the hour. So when I always try to pay very close attention to what time I'm putting trades on and double checking that clock just to make sure I don't get out in front of something and then have it reverse, when if I'd waited one more minute, which is not the end of the world, I could have seen that more clearly. The consumer confidence and the new home sales came out with far exceeding forecast numbers, and that provided some volatility, which this is why I keep saying there are people who trade only the news events. That's all they trade. They don't sit here and trade anything else. their entire trading life functions around news numbers and only certain reports. They make a project out of knowing those reports cold, and that's all they trade, and they do very well with it. I'm more of a, a little bit every day works for me. But tomorrow morning, the news events in the morning, I would expect this to be maybe a little bit slow in the morning, because at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we've got the Forex statement. And all the central bankers around the world are making noises about what they think everybody ought to do. And some of them think more quantitative easing is a real good idea, and some of them think zero and -0 interest rates are a real good idea. So this bunch of FOMAC people, I'm not sure they do anybody any good but themselves. Anyway, at 8:30 tomorrow morning, we've got core durable goods, and that is a significant economic number. And then 10 o'clock is pending home sales, not so much, but crude oil inventory will be at 10:30, and then at 2 o'clock tomorrow is the FOMAC statement, and they will make a federal funds rate statement. So it's that Fed funds number that's going to be significant. They talk and talk and talk and talk, and then they don't do anything. And since I don't know, my thing is I don't really trust those people, and if they're going to do something, they're likely to try and do that while nobody's paying attention, which would be July. So just be very cautious of tomorrow. I guess that's my news message, my takeaway for that. Also, tomorrow morning, be very careful with these indices if you're an early bird trader, because and these will affect NQ and the YM. We've got Comcast, Coca-Cola, and Boeing that are releasing their earnings tomorrow morning. And this can be, they say 8 o'clock. Some of them say before the market opens. Just be cautious and understand that those are companies that are big enough to cause some significant movement if their earnings are not in keeping with their projections. So I think that's about it. Tomorrow we'll have lots and lots of stuff. So the VIX is trading 1296 right now. Can't quite make up its mind what it wants to do. But anyway, and yes, yes, we like these drivers. That's right. Sometimes I think these good drivers go